If you live in the good old US of A, then you're just a little over a week away from Captain America: Civil War. If you live pretty much anywhere else in the world, then whatever, enjoy your metric system and seeing it early. Whatever. The latest addition to the MCU is one of the best yet, balancing a massive cast of characters to tell a harrowing story of superheroes torn apart by ideological and physical strife. With anticipation at a fever pitch, there's literally no better time to do a deep dive into comic book history. So today on the Dan Cave, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Civil War. Now, before it was a major motion picture and after it was a Ken Burns documentary, Civil War was a 2006 7-issue limited series by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. They say that art imitates life, and such is the case with Civil War as it shows reality TV stars literally destroying America. When the superhero group The New Warriors tried hunting down a group of escaped supervillains on national TV, things went terribly awry. The villain Nitro detonated a massive explosion that killed more than 600 people, including 60 elementary school children in Stamford, Connecticut. Bad luck, guys. That's worse than the Kardashians. No, I don't know how many children the Kardashians have killed, but that's gotta be more. Thanks to events like a rampage by the Hulk in Las Vegas that left 26 dead, public sentiment towards superheroes was already at an all-time low. But the Stamford catastrophe, as it came to be known, finally pushed people over the edge, leading to incidents like the Human Torch getting savagely assaulted outside a nightclub. Earth's mightiest heroes gathered together to discuss how best to proceed. And then the Watcher showed up. You know, to watch. Now, he only shows up for major history-altering moments in the MCU, so you can imagine the level of cosmic pants-shitting that must have been going on in that room. That's a lot of poop. In response to the events in Stamford, the US government proposed a landmark piece of legislation, the Superhuman Registration Act, which would require all superpowered individuals to register with the government using their real names, which effectively would destroy their secret identities. So basically, you could become a government-sanctioned super cop, or you could super retire. Naturally, this didn't sit well with Captain America, who refused to register at S.H.I.E.L.D.'s request. And unfortunately, it didn't sit well with S.H.I.E.L.D. either, so Director Maria Hill sicked their anti-superhuman response unit on Cap, attempting to tranquilize the super soldier. But much like a honey badger, Captain America don't give a shit, and your puny tranks mean nothing to him. He escaped and went undercover. Meanwhile, Iron Man, who'd become a major proponent of the act after meeting the parents of some of the Stamford victims, railroaded it through Congress. Then, in a top-secret meeting with the president, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, and Hank Pym swore to track down Cap. When the bill became a law, everything changed. Suddenly, heroes were outside the law, and they were arrested on sight. The superhero community found themselves with a choice to make: join Iron Man's pro-registration forces and enforce the law, or join Captain America's underground anti-registration resistance force. I mean, I know who I'd choose. Get at me, Russos. As we hurtled towards conflict, both sides managed to win early victories, with Cap and Falcon rescuing the young Avengers from capture and leaving tied-up bad guys all over town to show they could still clean up the streets even if what they were doing wasn't technically legal. Meanwhile, Iron Man got Spider-Man to do one of the most shocking things in the character's history. While giving a speech at a Washington, D.C. press conference about the importance of registration, Spider-Man unmasked himself, revealing to the world that his real name is Peter Parker and he's been Spider-Man since he was 15 years old. To this day, it's honestly one of the biggest holy shit moments in comics history. I mean, sure, they retconned it, but it was cool while it lasted, and it meant that Peter got a sick new suit, his Iron Spider armor. Ooh, Iron Spider. But back to the conflict at hand. Calling themselves the Secret Avengers, Captain America and his crew, which included Daredevil, Goliath, Hercules, the Young Avengers, Cloak, Dagger, and Cable, answered an emergency call from a petrochemical plant where 300 plus workers were said to be trapped inside. That's like Triangle Shirtwaist level of bad. Look that up, kids. Obviously, this was a trap, because of course it was, and Iron Man used it to give his former friend an ultimatum. Turn yourself in and register like a good little boy, and nobody gets hurt. But Cap isn't a good little boy. He's a grown-ass man, and he made a grown-ass decision by preemptively striking Iron Man, disabling his armor with a SHIELD-issue electron scrambler. To quote Robert Muldoon, clever girl. But Iron Man wasn't down for long. A brutal battle ensued that resulted in Tony beating the living hell out of Cap, which caused Hercules to go ape and fight his way towards his friend, which in turn prompted Maria Hill to initiate Codename Lightning. You know, Codename Lightning, a hyper-advanced cyborg clone of Thor that Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and Hank Pym made using a strand of the Thunder God's hair? Yeah, that old chestnut. That creepy genetically engineered chestnut. And this particular chestnut had a taste for murder, as he quickly uses mechanical Mjolnir to blast a hole through Goliath's chest, killing the hero instantly.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, you said it, Ron. That escalated quickly. Thanks to the Invisible Woman, the Secret Avengers managed to escape, but both sides were stunned and horrified by Goliath's murder at the hands of a Robo-Thor. Now, in order to contain the ever-expanding amount of super people unwilling to register, Tony Stark and Reed Richards constructed a prison in the negative zone known as Project 42. Personally, I would have called it Guantanamo Bay, but hey, they didn't ask me. Anyway, once that Spidey learned that anyone imprisoned there is held indefinitely without any semblance of due process, he quit the pro-registration side, leading to an all-out battle with Iron Man. Now, ultimately, Spidey escaped, but Iron Man and Maria Hill outdid themselves in terms of being total bastards by sending a newly formed version of the Thunderbolts after Peter, which consisted of the mega murderous villains Jack-O-Lantern, Jester, Lady Deathstrike, Bullseye, Taskmaster, and Venom. Yikes. Now chased down by Jack-O-Lantern and Jester, Spider-Man was nearly beaten to death in the sewers of New York, until suddenly, the two villains' heads burst open like ripe melons, thanks to some well-placed bullets from the Punisher. Realizing the wall crawler needed medical attention, Frank Castle brought him to Cap's secret Avengers lair. The good news was that with Punisher's help, Team Cap stole the plans to Project 42 and managed to infiltrate the Negative Zone mega prison. The bad news is that Tigra, who had joined Cap's crew, was a double agent and told Team Iron Man exactly what was going down, allowing them to ambush Team Cap. This, for the record, is why I'm a dog person. That's for you, cats. That's for you. But then, in a third act twist, Ant-Man suddenly shapeshifted into Hulkling, who had knocked out the real Hank Pym and taken his place. Hulkling then released all the prisoners from Project 42, and both sides proceeded to beat the bejesus out of each other with their fists. I think I was gonna say words. They used fists. At one point during the fracas, Cloak teleported the entire battle to the middle of Times Square because, hey, what's a massive metahuman throwdown without a Sbarro in the background, am I right? Just as Captain America was about to deal the final blow to Iron Man, though, he was tackled by several civilian emergency workers. Looking around him at the burning ruins of the city, Cap realized they lost sight of what was important in the first place: protecting people. Realizing the jig was up, he unmasked himself and surrendered to the authorities to await trial. In the weeks that followed, Tony Stark became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. The 50-state initiative to put a super team in every state was launched, and Cap was assassinated on the steps of the courthouse by Sharon Carter, aka Agent 13. You thought you guys had relationship drama, huh? Oh. And that, my friends, is Civil War in a nutshell. So how do the comics stack up to the movie? Well, first of all, they're very different in terms of what actually happens. The whole secret identity angle is kind of nullified by the fact that pretty much no one in the MCU, except for Spidey, actually has a secret identity. Instead, it's more about the idea of whether or not the Avengers need oversight, and more importantly, who should be the governing body to provide said oversight. Honestly, it's a powerful political argument, and both sides make much more compelling arguments here than they did in the comics. You'll likely leave the theater a little less firmly team whoever you came in rooting for. And though there isn't a Robo-Thor, the action is incredible, especially the airport scene you've seen in the trailers. And as for who dies, well, you're just gonna have to see the movie yourself now, won't you? I'm gonna spoil that shit. Go see this! So tell me, what from the comics are you hoping to see on the big screen? Whose team are you on? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, give me a decidedly civil thumbs up. Oh, very nice. That's all for today's show. Join us next time when we talk about the story of an underwater research facility that finds itself under siege by genetically engineered thoroughbred horses in Deep Blue Seabiscuit. Until next time, keep on digging. Let's open up the old mailbag, shall we? At Joel from SD asks, do you remember when and which Prince song you heard first? Oh man, wow, too soon first of all. Rest in peace, Prince. I remember, it was high school, I think. My friend put the vinyl of Purple Rain on, and I heard I Would Die For You, and I instantly fell in love. So, guys, if you haven't heard that record or any Prince music, treat yourself, because he was one of a kind and deserves to be remembered. At Toby D. Thomas asks, is the end nigh? Should I repent? I don't know, man, just live your life. If you wind up running from demonic hellbeasts, then just try to enjoy it. You know, enjoy it. At Dalky Song asks, what DC Rebirth titles are you looking forward to? Oh man, there's so many good ones, but in particular, Scott Snyder's All-Star Batman, Christopher Priest's Deathstroke, and Steve Orlando's Supergirl, just to name a few. But tell me, what Rebirth titles are you guys stoked for? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.